Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back today for the most anticipated video each month on the channel, which is the monthly tier list. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff today: promotions, some demotions, some stuff to do with rebalancing, new champions, Werewolf by Night, Morbius. Morbius is listed twice in this tier list, one for his awakened counterpart, and then the unduped Morbius that most of us currently have. Before we get into the list, though, a couple disclaimers. Please, before you leave a comment saying this champion is missing, please go to the description, click on the tier list. You can open it up yourself. You can see the whole list. I'm fairly certain there is no champion missing on the list. Make sure you have seen the champions in the above all tier, the broken tier. Every champion in the game should be listed on this tier list. So please, before you leave a comment like that, just take a good look. One other thing to note is that this was a new tier added last month on the last list. Now, just because a champion is here, doesn't mean they're better than the champions in here. This tier is the best tier to be in. These are the best champions in the game. These are the best of the best options for anything that you might encounter. This tier is its own special thing of champions that just break the freaking game in one way or another. Of course, Hercules is here, that guy. You can use Hercules for just about anything. Now, this tier is just unique. These are just champs that break the game in a specific way, but at the same time, not all of these champs are the best. For example, a 5-star Quake, she's not going to be doing anything for you, but at the same time, she still remains arguably the most broken champion in the entire game. Is Quake rated higher than Scorpion, Titania, Hulk? No. This tier is just separate. So don't think of it as like this being above this. It's two completely different things. And the only last thing to note here, last disclaimer, is that, this list is meant to be a rough guide to help you make some decisions through your journey in Marvel Contest of Champions, whether that be a rank up, whether that be a Crystal Nexus choice. It's just supposed to be a rough guide, so please use it as such. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the list. Alright guys, so the very first thing that I want to talk about is Gladiator. So, I chose Gladiator out of every 7-star currently available in the game for qualifying for top 8, and I took him to rank 2. Now, when I did this, I said, man, this is a long-term play. This is because I'm hoping that the rebalancing for Gladiator really comes through. Because my thought process is, currently, there is no Summoner Choice champions at a 7-star level. We only have Hercules and Quicksilver. They don't exist at 7 stars yet. I mean, Hercules never will. I think Quicksilver will eventually. But Gladiator was the only Summoner Choice champion in the entire game available as a 7-star. And he is subject to rebalancing. So I really think his rebalance is going to be worth it. I really hope that this was a good play long term. Right now, not a good idea. Absolutely not a good idea. And we're going to go ahead and actually demote Gladiator. So I started him here in the Celestial tier. Being an owner of a rank 2 7-star Gladiator, I feel like I can do this demotion. I feel like I actually got him. I actually ranked him. I've actually played him. So I feel like I actually have, the knowledge and experience to properly rank Gladiator here. And like I said, I think he is definitely a lot better than what people give him credit for. However, he is not nearly as good as he needs to be. So in the S tier, the Supreme tier now. And yeah. I find him fun to play, but yeah, I think this was just too high of a ranking for him. So I had to demote him after actually having him and playing him myself and confidently do this demotion without just, buying into, oh, Gladiator's mid, he's mediator, mid. I can actually do this myself because I know he is kind of mid. He's not as mid as people say, but he is slightly mid. So I just wanted to rectify that because from the previous tier, let's start with that. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about a brand new champion added to the list, and that is Werewolf by Night. So, the Werewolf dude is interesting here. We also have them updated on Aunt May now, so we can also pull that up here. Here we go. So, now, when we first got the Werewolf, I thought, and before we even really saw anything, like when he was very first teased, we saw a hairy, big Mystic champion. Now, the previous big hairy Mystic champions have all been pretty good defenders, very good defenders, and usually also have very high health pools, which Werewolf by Night does have. If we go ahead and put this to HP, he has the second biggest health pool in the entire game, which is crazy. Titania was number 2, but that was because Aunt May wasn't updated with all these new health pools, so she's actually number 6 now, which is crazy. But yeah, Werewolf by Night, he's number 2 biggest health pool. I mean, let's actually compare it to Sassy. So Sassy, 163k at max. This guy, not even 140k. So yeah, it's hard when you're compared to Sasquatch, but still, second biggest health pool in the game. That is a big plus. That's a big plus. I thought this guy was going to be an absolute unit on defense. I thought he was going to be crazy. However, he hasn't seemed like that big of a threat on defense. I would say Werewolf by Night is underrated by, I'd say, the entire community right now, myself included, but I am underrating him purposefully. I'm just starting him off in the S tier, and I definitely think next month he's going to go up at least 1 tier. I think he could easily go up another. You know, the more I think about it, I think he should just start here. Yeah, actually, yeah. Honestly, having the second biggest, I didn't quite realize he had the second biggest in the entire game. That's awesome. I think for that reason alone, I started him here originally, and then I demoted him. Now knowing that he has the second biggest health pool in the game, I think I'm gonna re-promote him. 2 of my very good friends, I was gonna call them colleagues, which I mean they kind of are, but they're stay with me at the Airbnb, and that's Bittersteel and MSD. I'm pretty sure both of them got a 6-star werewolf off the prize wheel, and I know Bittersteel ascended him. So, and he was showing some gameplay as well, and it looked good. I'm still not fully convinced on the werewolf guy, but I think this is a pretty decent spot for him. I don't think he's the best defender. I didn't even give him the defensive tag. I mean, I guess we could. He's an alright defender. He definitely is a decent defender. He's just not on the level of like Rintra or Sasquatch, for example. But I think he is a good addition to the game. I definitely need to give him some more time. I was just so focused on Morbius this month. But yeah, I would really love to hear you guys' thoughts on the Werewolf by Night. Do you think this is an accurate rating for him? Do you think he belongs here? Do you think I had it right originally in the Supreme tier? Do you think he could go even higher? If we're going to need some of you guys' help on this one, please let me know. I do read every single comment on these tier list videos in preparation to make the next one. So your feedback is greatly appreciated, and it will be seen if you leave a comment on one of these videos. So that's Werewolf by Night. I think we're going to park him there, and I think I'm happy with that. All right. Let's go talk about my favorite champion of October, and that is Morbius. So like I said at the start of the video, we have Morbius listed twice on this list. So let's start with an unduped Morbius. This is, you know, what we all have. Well, if you did the whole platinum track and everything, unduped Morbius at a most likely a 7-star level. So I think, okay, I am very, very, very hyped on Morbius. Extremely hyped about this guy. Big personal favorite here. Now, I'm going to try my best to not be too biased with these rankings for Morbius, because like I said, I really like him. I think an unduped Morbius, though, I think he lands in the Celestial tier, the SS tier. You know, it's a good spot to be in. The Science class is extremely competitive as well. So, you know, it's a respectable position to be in, you know, unawakened. He has tremendous damage. As long as the opponent can be bled and they don't really shrug off debuffs, he's going to be putting in work. Those special 2s are guaranteed crits above 10 damaging debuffs. The way to think about Morbius, the way I like to think about him, is the culmination of 3 champions. Those 3 champions being Kitty Pryde, because he has a similar phase-like glide mechanic that Kitty has. So he pulls that from Kitty's kit. Rintra, because, you know, he builds up damaging debuffs and then consumes them on a big special 2 nuke. However, it's kind of improved upon Rintra because above 10, it's a guaranteed crit. You know, the biggest problem with Rintra is you build up all this damage, but then you just don't crit, and it's all RNG. So he has Kitty's phasing-like mechanic via his glide. He has Rintra's, big special 2 build up damage explosion, but guaranteed crit, so it's improved upon. And then the third champion that I like to think of with Morbius's kit is Hercules. So, like, when you're pulling from Kitty, Rintra, and Hercules, like, those are 3 really good champs to pull from. However, the Hercules comparison only comes into play with the Awakened ability. And that's this part here, which we'll talk about in a bit. But Unduped Morbius, he's definitely a Battlegrounds nuke. He's not going to do the most on defense. His glide does come out really fast, so you can be caught by it. But I think Unduped Morbius, he's a solid champ. He's landing in that Celestial tier. I think he's worth rank 2 Unduped. I think he's going to put in a tremendous amount of work in Battlegrounds specifically. I think he's very fun. Really great champ. But then we get to Awakened, actual Morbius. And Morbius completely changes as a champion once he's awakened. So, Unduped Morbius, Celestial tier, SS. Awakened Morbius, top of the Omnipotent tier. I think he's top. I'm not saying he's better than all these champions. I mean, I do think that. I'm not saying that. I kind of am. But he's just so good. He's so ridiculously good awakened. It completely changes him as a champion. Why? What really changes? 2 major things change when Morbius is awakened. So the first thing that changes is now Awakened Morbius only Sig level 1. He does not need max Sig. Of course, it's great. It's great. But you see, I don't have the max Sig icon. I just have the Awakened icon here. Because just Awakened, Sig level 1, what begins to happen is if Morbius comes across a bleed immune opponent, which the Unduped Morbius is going to have a terrible time because he is very reliant on bleeds. Unduped. Awakened Morbius has no such problem because instead of applying bleeds, he will then try to apply Rupture. Now, this Sig ability is extremely deceiving, but I'm going to explain this to you because it's crazy because I tested this and it made me realize, wow, Morbius does not need Sig 200. Now, the max Sig is really going to come into play not for the Rupture part, but the third bullet point. Like, there's so much going on in this Awakened ability. There's like 3 different parts to it. So the first part is he can change his damage from bleeds to ruptures. And Rupture, again, kind of reminds you of Rintra, built those big ruptures, detonate special 2. The only champion in all of MCOC that is immune to Rupture is Scorpion. Scorpion's not immune to bleed. So Morbius can still handle Scorpion. The really only problem you're going to come into with Morbius is champions that shrug debuffs, which typically is a archetype of the skill class. You typically don't want to be bringing science champions, skill champions, anyways, unless your name is Titania and you're awesome. But getting back on track, so first part of this, it fixes his damage source. It opens up to basically the entire game. So incredible. The second part here, again, this is the Hercules comparison. When taking direct damage from any source, gain a non-stacking Undying passive that falls off after not taking direct damage for 2 seconds. Cooldown 8 seconds. So this is insane, but what makes it truly game-breaking is if you run these Suicide Masteries, mainly Liquid Courage. Because if you are running Liquid Courage, you are perpetually taking direct damage, which means this will never fall off. You will keep this Undying passive forever. And you cannot die to any kind of direct damage, any kind of passive damage. There's only 2 types of damage that can kill you, and those 2 types of damage, you only take them if you make a mistake. And the 2 types of damage I'm talking about is just getting hit. So if you actually get hit and you're at 1%, the Undying will not save you. You will die. Or if you take too much block damage, you will also die. But again, that's your own blunder. If you're getting hit or you're taking block damage, you made a mistake. If you don't make a mistake, nothing can kill you. No type of BS, fun and interactive, kabam damage, kabam degen, anything that they throw your way, it will not kill you as long as you don't make a mistake. And that, for me, is what makes Morbius one of the best champs in the entire game. like, I think that is just such an insane ability. And I think like 1, 2, 3 years in the future, like Morbius is going to be extremely relevant for this ability. I truly believe that. I think right now people don't quite understand just how powerful this is, and most of us, we don't have an Awakened Morbius yet anyways. But, a couple years from now, once 7-star Awakened gems are, flowing, I think we're going to see, like, I think Morbius stock, like, I think it's only going to go up. Only going to go up, man. So, and then the third part of this Awakened ability, this is where the Sig level actually does matter, really comes into play. So, while the Undying is active, you can regenerate the direct damage that you're taking. So I think Cam did the math on this. So to actually be like fully healing from the Suicide Masteries, like you won't die, you'll never die if you're just awakened running those Suicide Masteries as long as you don't get hit. But max Sig, you can actually start healing from the suicide damage that you're passively taking and other types of damage as well. So that's where the Sig levels really do come into play. But for the ruptures, it's not nearly as important. Now, this reads like it would be important. When the opponent is immune to a personal bleed, a 30 to a 100% chance to inflict a rupture debuff, instead dealing physical damage and copying the bleed's behavior. Now, obviously, that sounds like, well, at max Sig, like, you're going to have, like, basically guaranteed rupture application. So, I thought the Sig ability was very important for this. However, the way the Fervor interacts, let's find that part of his kit. So the Fervor buff, what it does is the Fervor, alright, this is just saying, but wait, where does it tell us what the Fervor actually does? Huh, it's not telling us what it does on here. Let me pull up Morbius's Spotlight. I think that's where it really talks about it a little bit more. And there's a developer note as well on it. Let me find that, because it'll make a lot more sense. Okay, here we go. So, got Morbius's Spotlight pulled up here. So, Fervor is a brand new effect that boosts the ability accuracy of outgoing damaging effects. For Morbius, this makes his bleeds more consistent and apply more often. So, the same exact thing can be applied to the Awakened ability with Morbius here. So, as long as you have the Fervor active, it boosts the ability accuracy to apply these damaging effects, so the ruptures. So as long as you have Fervor active, it's going to be applying those ruptures at a much higher rate. Even if you're, I think around Sig 20, it's like a little under 50%. And I tested that at that Sig level, and I was still getting plenty of rupture application, more than enough to get to 10 still reliably, and still nuke with special 2 guaranteed crits. So the way the Fervor interacts with Morbius's abilities, it's actually incredible, and it makes so that for this part of the Awakened ability, it's not high Sig, max Sig, it's not needed. Definitely not needed. So just a Sig 20 Awakened Morbius, he's instantly going to be able to start taking any of those bleed immune matchups. So for all those reasons, man, I extremely highly rate Morbius. And yeah, the dupe Morbius, he is easily landing in this tier for me, with potential to go higher. The problem is that these 3 science champions are all incredible, so there's not really any room for Morbius. But yeah, man, I think Morbius is absolutely insane. He's one of my favorite champs released this entire year so far. For me, like, Morbius is my Summoner's Choice champion. It's actually Gladiator, but like we've talked about, he needs his rebalancing. And yet, way more people have a 7-star Morbius than 7-star Gladiator. So for me, like, this guy is the champ of the year, the Summoner's Choice champion for me. Like, I just cannot rate Morbius enough. Yeah, that's a lot of talking. All right, that's Morbius. Let's go ahead and get to some other promotions and demotions now. All right, guys, so starting at the top of the list here, we have Sasquatch being promoted from the Celestial tier to the Omnipotent tier. And, a big reason for this is because Sasquatch is one of the best defenders in all of MCOC for Battlegrounds specifically. Because like we've talked about when we were talking about the Werewolf guy, Sasquatch has by far, the biggest health pool in the game. Like, the new champion that is second to him is like more than 20,000 HP behind at the current highest rank and level of the game. Like, it's just insane. Sassy is just like no one's even close to, like, they had to make a new champion that had the next highest health pool, and it still is not even close to Sasquatch. Like, that is a feat right there. The biggest health pool in the entire game by a landslide. And I say Sasquatch is extremely underrated on attack. This guy can make some things happen. But let's be real here. The main reason for this promotion is he is just the most Giga Chad defender in the game for Battlegrounds. For Alliance War, it's not nearly as good because, you can take a while in Alliance War and it's not that big of a deal. It can be if you tie, but, in Battlegrounds where time is literally not everything, but extremely important, Sasquatch's big health pool really buys you time. Plus, he has got the RNG symbol here because Sasquatch is unique in the way that his defensive ability works. It's just RNG, whether he triggers his Wrath early or late in the fight, and depending on whether that happens or not, each stack of rage that he's built up lowers your attack, or lowers all damage by 5%. So you could just get a bad RNG. Sasquatch doesn't trigger Wrath for a very long time, and that's just a long time where you're not dealing damage because he's reducing it by so much, and that's just the way Sasquatch works. So he's crazy. I took him to rank. If you have a 7-star Sasquatch, I highly recommend taking him to rank 2, even Unawakened. Unawakened, this dude put in so much work for me. He was one of my best defenders. And now, shout out to MSD for duping my Sasquatch. Now, he's even better. So that's Sasquatch being promoted in the Mystic class. Nothing else really happened here. Let's move on to Mutant. We had one promotion, one demotion. Basically, 2 chance to switch spots. So, Danny Moonstar got demoted. She is going to be having her rebalancing, so after that, I think we could definitely see her get re-promoted, but in her current state, I just felt like she did not belong here. She did not belong here, so I demoted her. She's a good champ. She just needs a couple things tweaked, so hopefully her rebalancing really solves her issues. Then we had a promotion that I finally did, and that I probably should have done a while ago. I'm not a fan of Sunspot. I don't like him at all. But I cannot deny that he is an absolute incredible Battlegrounds nuke. He absolutely is. He's got the pure attacker icon here. He definitely gets a lot of juice as a 7-star. I never thought I'd promote him, but I did, because he's that good of an attacker in Battlegrounds, and the list needs to respect that and show that. So Sunspot finally getting his dues. I know there's a lot of Sunspot lovers out there, so I'm sure you all will be happy with that. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Science now. So we jumped the gun a little bit with Sandman's rebalancing last month. I thought it would be live. I thought it was going live last month. That's partially why I did it when I did. But yeah, his rebalancing has been changed. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you, it's been nerfed. Yo, they nerfed a Sandman's buff. How dare they? They nerfed it. And it's like, relax. That's how the rebalancing process works. They don't just buff a champion and it goes live. Like, they implement the changes, and those changes are tested on a beta server. The initial changes were shown off in a YouTube video, and that just caught community wildfire. It spread like wildfire. So when that was changed, everyone's just calling it a nerf. So it's not a nerf. Like, Sandman is still in his rebalancing period, still in his rebalancing phase. So all of that is subject to change. And it was on DLL's channel that he was showing off the Sandman here, and he literally said that like every couple minutes. This is subject to change. This is still subject to rebalancing. But people don't want to hear that part. They just say the buff was nerfed. So yeah, the gun was jumped. I definitely jumped the gun with the promotion. That's not to mean that with the changes to Sandman's rebalancing, he's not going to be promoted. I think Sandman will definitely get promoted to here, regardless of what the rebalancing looks like. I think Sandman's already a great champ. I just got him, just took him to rank 4. I like him. He's just slow. So with the changes, hopefully that speeds him up. With the initial changes, it looks like it sped him up a little bit too much. I don't know. I thought it was fine. But We still haven't seen what Sandman's final form will be, but that should be going live, I think, this month. And so next month's tier list, we'll come back to Sandman and see if he needs to be promoted 1 tier, 2 tiers, stay here, demoted. We'll see next month. In his final form of rebalance. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to nothing in tech. No changes in tech. I was debating... Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, I was debating putting Guillotine 2099 up because of Necropolis. I was actually debating putting in a whole new emoji and doing a bunch of changes based on Necropolis. But I think it's just a little soon. You know, we're going to get Necropolis next month. So the December tier list will probably be heavily impacted by that, and we'll have a new emoji and new criteria for ranking based off Necropolis friendly champs and like MVPs for it. Because my tier list is meant to reflect the current meta of MCOC as a whole. It's not supposed to just be for Battlegrounds or Alliance War or Alliance Quest or any one thing. It's supposed to encompass everything. So with Necropolis coming, and you know, that just meaning that endgame content actually has more of an impact, like these long form content champions, they can definitely start getting promoted, which I am very happy to see because that is some of my favorite content in the game. Again, however, I would like to see Necropolis first before I start just doing rank ups based on who I think is going to be good for it. So I'm going to hold off till next month. However, another champion to talk about though is Viv Vision. So she recently has been rebalanced. I don't have Viv, never had her. I don't even think I've ever played her. So I genuinely have no idea what to do with her. So yeah, let me know if you guys think she is good enough now to be promoted. Do you think she's good where she is? Yeah, I really need some help on Viv Vision because I have no idea about the character. So let me know about that. And then let's go ahead and move on to skill. We had Baron Zemo. We re-promoted him, I think it was last month, and I think that is going to be really good. Again, Necropolis. I think Zemo's going to be really good in there. I mean, even on the Necropolis like trailers that we've seen. I mean, Mike made them, and he's the biggest Zemo lover out there, but he was using Zemo in Necropolis for those videos, and I don't know. I think he's definitely going to be great for it. But, yeah, I think Zemo stock's only going to be going up. But the recent promotion was Crossbones. So, again, this is kind of like Sunspot. Personally, I'm not a fan of Crossbones, but he is a 7-star now. I've been seeing some really good things with him. My boy Trappy loves Crossbones. So, yeah. Yeah, that's Crossbones promotion. Also, speaking of Trappy, I need to do this promotion for him. I gotta do this for him right now. That dude's been showing some crazy stuff with Punisher 2099. I mean, even in the Battleground Brawl, we saw some Punisher. So, yeah, with Collar Tech as well. I have that in parentheses here. Punisher's a beast. Punisher is a beast. That one's for you, Trappy. Yeah, so that's skill. We already talked about Gladiator. And then we have 2 more promotions here in Cosmic. So we have 2 champions going from the SS tier to the Triple S tier. And the first one is Vox. So Vox, man, he's looking really good. I'd say he's my most wanted 7-star Cosmic now that I have Gladiator. I think it's definitely Vox. And it was between Vox and Gladiator when I was going to ultimately pick. But, you know, I had said that I was going to pick Gladiator. I wanted to stay true to my word. But, yeah, if I didn't pick Gladiator, I would have picked Vox for sure. This dude is just nuts. The degen damage that he's putting out, it's wild. A lot of utility that he can counter different stuff. It's looking very good. And then we have Venom. So Venom, man, this is a big one. It's all about that relic. All about that relic. I'm going to put it here like 4 times. The Venom relic, dude, completely changes Venom as a character. Like, fundamentally. Like, it's... My Venom, you know, I had him as a 7-star. And I could not rank him. Because I only had a 4-star Venom relic. But now, I pulled, luckily, a 6-star Venom relic. So Venom's on my short list now for rank 2. FinTech has done an absolutely incredible job of showing the community just how good Venom is, especially in Battlegrounds. Like, he's taking all kinds of crazy fights. For example, he's taking Kindred, class disadvantage with Venom, finishing that fight in under a minute and with full health. Like, I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it because Venom is one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. I'd say he's my favorite. Like, I don't think Venom is a hero or a villain. You know, of course, he started as a villain. I'd say he's definitely more of like an anti-villain or an anti-hero. I don't know what's the difference between those two, anti-villain or anti-hero. It's like the same thing. But anyways, I think that fits Venom a lot more. So like, I'd say like my favorite hero in Marvel is Spider-Man. My favorite villain in Marvel is Carnage. But Venom, he's somewhere in the middle. He's somewhere in the middle of both those characters. And yeah, I love Venom so much, dude. I cannot wait to get that guy up to rank 2, show you guys some crazy gameplay. But yeah, Venom finally getting his dues, getting this promotion, and he absolutely deserves it. But again, with the relic, you need to have either a 5 or 6-star Venom relic for this ranking to really be accurate, and for like a 7-star Venom to be ranked 2able. And then I think the only thing we have left to talk about here is Red Magneto. So I posted a little poll on YouTube saying, who's overall the best mutant? And I had Omega Red listed, Domino, Bishop, and Red Magneto. And Red Magneto won the votes by quite a big margin. And I think Red Magneto he's a very well-rounded character. He counters, like, I think it's like a third of the game or something is metal. So, yeah, man, I don't know. When Red Magneto was first buffed, like, everybody talks to him, everybody used him, he's like the talk of the game. Now, like, no one ever talks about this guy. I feel like Red Magneto is truly underrated these days, but he is still an absolute beast of a champion. I wanted to put Omega Red here, but I don't know. I think it's really between Omega Red and Red Magneto, the two red guys. But I think Red Magneto ultimately gets it just because of how much he can counter with metal champs. Plus, bleed and shock resistance at his base. Going to be very nice, especially for Hazard Shift right now, the current Battlegrounds new meta. Yeah, Red Magneto, just an absolute beast of a champ. Take him against metal champs, and you're going to have a good time. You always will. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to do it for the list. Wow, I talked about a ton. Yeah, so I think Werewolf by Night and Morbius making a really, really great debut on the list. I think Morbius just kind of stole the show, for sure. I highly, 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 highly rate this character. Probably more than anyone else on YouTube. And that's fine. I got some really, really sick gameplay coming. I've been morbing all over people in Battlegrounds, and definitely gonna make a video showcasing all that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of these rankings for Morbius and Werewolf by Night. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where would you put them? And remember, before you leave a comment saying I forgot someone on the list, they're probably here. And like I said, a link to the tier list will be in the description below if you want to take a look at it on your own device. Feel free. I also read all the comments on these videos in preparation to make the next tier list. So if you want me to read your comment, this is the best video to leave one on. That's going to go ahead and do it for the monthly updated tier list of November 2023. I really hope you guys did enjoy. I would really appreciate a like, rating, subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace out.